right. Welcome to 12-2. My name is Jeff Olson. I'm your host. Uh, it's been a minute, actually, since I've been able to really put anything out to where I could reach out. You know, technical difficulties and stuff, man. Had to work out the I had the kinks, had to iron the wrinkles out, but praise God that he has helped me see where my errors were, and I learned from my mistakes. Uh, our our last session that I had with my brother, Country, was emotional in many ways. It was uh, a very touching conversation that we had about his moment when he came to know God. And man, I'm it's funny how sometimes you think you know a person and you know their story until you actually talk to them. Uh, I learned something new, and I'm grateful for that. So if you guys have not had a chance to check that out, man, you guys gotta check it out. Uh, Today I have somebody that I've known my whole life. It's my cousin. His name is Justin Daugherty. Justin,
What's up, bro?
how you doing, bro?
Doing great. Thank you.
Man, we have tried this numerous times, and it just
Hey, we struck out a little bit. That's how you got to keep swinging, though.
got to keep swinging, man. We can swing for the fences every time.
Yeah.
Um, and but we're here again today, man. Praise God. By the grace of God, we're going to get this right. Um, and man, yeah, that's great. Uh, but before we jump into anything today, I want to give you an opportunity to just tell your story. You know, most of the people that watch me, and some of them don't. Someone who doesn't know me, they always have an opportunity to know who I am, and they always know, and they already know, or they already know who I am. So I really just want you to just talk about, you know, your life before God. Just give us a little rundown of that.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, my life before God, um, you know, I feel like from the jump, God gave me a lot of like raw talents, like really headstrong, really like persistent, really intelligent, funny, and, um, I feel like He made me for great things, but I feel like that I allowed certain circumstances in my life, um, not any different really than anybody else's. I mean, some people could look at it and say maybe it was different, but you know, we're all guaranteed hard times in life. And I didn't have the right perception. I had a self perception, and uh, those circumstances like pretty much beat me to death.
Right.
Um, Inside, I was like from a teenager, I was addicted to, drugs and alcohol. And, I stayed that way for years. And, that was, that in itself was, uh, hard, but at the same time, I mean, there was times I wasn't working and I was on the streets and stuff, but, um, people could look at me and say, I was still functioning and stuff. You know what I mean? Like when I started drinking, I had a job. I went to work every day. I was working 60, 70 hours, but the worst part of all of it was the way I felt inside. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
had extreme feelings of um, like thoughts of suicide and just complete hopelessness and turmoil and that stuff. I lived with that stuff for a long time, and then I got to God, and all that just really changed completely.
Well, I know, of course, I know your story. I know that whenever you was a kid, your dad had disappeared, um, and you know, then come to find out later on he was not. Well, he was declared dead, and then come to find out he wasn't dead. Uh, Stuff like that, to a child, it causes confusion, and would I say if that happened to me, how would I act? Man, I'd probably go loose. I mean, I'd go left on everything. I wouldn't care. I mean, it wouldn't matter if I had a mom still in my life that was a strong mother and was listening. I probably still would go left. My dad didn't disappear, and I still went left. So, I mean, you had every reason to go that route. You know?
Yeah. You know, it was hard. Like, he disappeared when I was 12 years old, and um, like people say, he disappeared when I was 12 years old. And at first it was just kind of like, I didn't understand. I was confused. I was like sad, and then that kind of really set in. And then a few years after that, I was like, time I'm like 14, I started getting a little mad. By the time I'm 15, 16, I started getting pretty angry. If I
Yeah.
see him, I'm gonna hurt him,
Yeah.
and I meant it, things like that. And ironically, as I'm sitting there saying that, it's like as those feelings grew, it's like the more disconnected I came from the path that I believe God was trying to set me on,
Mm.
and because I had problems at a young age, but they grew, the addictions grew, and and that's what I think. I think that society wants us to think, like you mentioned, I had every right to be angry, and like I believe that's like no disrespect, but I believe that's like a worldly comment. That's what the world wants us to believe, that we have every right,
Yeah.
to be upset, and because the thing is, and initially, yes, but we're not supposed to hold on to those things. We are human. God made us human. We have emotions, we have feelings, right? But He doesn't want us to hold on to them, right? And that's when, and I've learned a few different things. But one thing that sticks out to me in this moment is, you know, I was involved in this little soccer program thing that I'm in, and one of they do like devotionals each week for the kid as they train him in soccer, like Bible devotionals also. And one of them was on the Lord's Prayer, and their focus was more on prayer. But as the Lord's Prayer was in front of me, which I've seen 1,000 other times, like it stood out to me that it says, how does it go? Like, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Right? It's only like 8 lines in there, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
But however many lines it is, 2 of those lines, it's on forgiveness. Forgive those and forgive us.
Right.
And it's right up there with, adore God with give us this day our daily bread. Feed us and let us be thankful for it. These are all like really basic things. And then you have forgiveness in there. Jesus is telling us that, the world is saying you have every right to be upset. Jesus is telling you you don't. Jesus is telling you to forgive. And I believe the reason it's so essential as to eat and be thankful is because that creates a poison in our spirit, right? So the more I'm mad at my Father, right? I have every right to be mad at him, right? But it's like, what kind of life do I want to have? Okay, what do I want to have out of my life? There's 2 things you cannot have. I promise you: your anger at others and your best life.
That's good.
Which one do you want?
Yeah, you're right.
Put the anger down, bro. But as a kid, that's hard to understand. And but the thing is, and even if I had somebody to teach me, would I have listened? I can sit here and say I didn't have anybody to show me that. I had the world saying, you got every right to be mad. Dang, that's messed up. And it is. But
what I learned. So sometimes I get people, they come and ask me, they're like, look, man, I've been walking, I've been going to church every single day. I've been getting into my word and this and that, and but I feel like I still have this bitterness inside me. I feel like I have this some type of like when I think of this person, I'm still feeling that way. And it's like you said, the forgiveness part is key when it comes to your relationship with Christ. If you do not let go of that, right, and you give it to Him, you will stunt your growth. You will you will pretty much be doing a whole lot and not making any progress, because we're not fixing the inside. We're not getting to the core of what really brought us
Mhm.
that way. You
Yeah,
know?
to me, bro, and I believe stunting your growth, right, by holding on to the anger. But my personal belief is more even a step deeper. Like I believe we're either moving forward or moving backward. There's no staying the same, and that's why for me, like things like not holding on to like because my redemption, right? Like I said, like I had these terrible feelings inside and these terrible addictions and the way I treated people was terrible and I was just running everybody off from around me. And through AA 12 steps, right, I was connected with God, which removed my desire. But not only that, it did a lot more things for me. But the thing is, the fact that He saved me, I'm not saved forever in that sense. I have to watch myself how I walk every day to keep that connection. So if I'm holding on to resentment, to anger, and things like that, that's disconnecting me from God. And now I'm moving backward, you
Yeah.
know? And my whole life, everything that I know as life of right now, in my opinion, is at risk in those moments. It's like for me, my connection with God is not something lackadaisical. Not some, oh, that sounds good. I think I should do that. I want to do that. To me, it's an absolute necessity if I want to stay on the path that I'm on.
A necessity. Yes. Yeah. You know, I didn't really understand that at first when I started walking. The necessity of having him involved into all of my my goals, my plans, my choices. And it wasn't until I started figuring out that when I don't involve him, whenever I do not make him the necessity of my everyday life, there is chaos. Um, I just didn't realize it, because when I first, when I first gave up my life, you have to die to yourself to be free, to live. You have to die to yourself to live. And so when I had to die to myself and I fully surrendered and I gave it to God, I was still in a controlled environment. I was in prison. So there wasn't really a whole lot coming at me that was really just kind of throwing me off course, right? It's like I said before, I knew how to be a Christian inside there because it was a little bit easier. But when I came out, I had all this free space,
And you
all
have
these,
all that structure.
yes, you know what I mean? And so, man, it was chaos. And I had to reteach myself, you know. And I say reteach myself, but really it's really by the grace of him. He taught me, he slowed me down, brought some things into my way to where it would be like,
Yeah, but you was brand new, bro. You had to relearn life all over. You know
absolutely,
what I mean?
and it was a process. It
Yeah.
was definitely a process. Like it wasn't overnight, And so I see that now, and I'm grateful. And I think that people don't really catch that, right? And so, you talked about the AA, but what was your turning point? I mean, there was a time whenever you just finally said, you know what, I'm done with this life, and you did it. But what caused that?
But the time when I was ready and I said I'm done, I still didn't change for years because I thought that I had to do it on my own. I thought drinking was my problem. See what I'm saying? That's the deception of the world, bro. That's what the world wants us to think. The world wants us to think that drinking is our problem. The world wants us to think that we eat too much food. The world wants us to think that we worrying about the future too much. The whole problem is we need to put our eyes on God. When we put our eyes on God, everything else will fall into place, right? But I wanted to change. And to the point of daily tears, to the point of deep pleading with myself, to the point of all these things, man. The letting down my kids, the letting down my family, the pain that came from that, the self hatred, the the sincere desires to die daily is what pushed me to stop. But I couldn't. For years, I had those feelings and I could not because I thought I had to do it on my own, right? Ironically, fortunately, I got my second DWI, right? I had a 0.24 blood alcohol level. I refused to blow. I refused to do this field sobriety test. I refused to blow. I refused to do all that stuff. So finally, they drew my blood. Some hours later, I still had a .24. People say this is high. To me, it was like another Monday. You know, I was like, I was just living life, bro. You know. Anyways, so when I got that uh, DWI, and I hired an attorney, right? And he told me to go to AA. And I had never, you know, I mean, I maybe heard of AA, but I never really put any type of real thought on it. I thought if I needed to change, I needed to do it myself. There's nothing that nobody else in this world could do for me that I could not do for myself. I knew that, and I was like I said, intelligent, headstrong. I had it all figured out, right? So I started going to AA, bro. It's kind of, you know, disgusting, but I would still drive up to the AA meetings. I was still drinking. I would go drink afterwards. I was staying drunk, and I was doing that for months so it would look good when I went to court. Is why he told me to go, because they didn't really want to give me probation. I didn't know if I wanted probation, bro. You know, all them rules you got to follow. I wasn't really digging that, you know, but I didn't really want to be away from my kids. Like, I was just kind of going through the motions. Didn't know what I really wanted.
Right.
Right. So I was going to AA, and I would hear him say, get a sponsor, work the steps. And I'm like, why not? You know, I'm tired of living like this. I'm tired of feeling like this. You know, I don't really want to stop, but I don't want to feel like this no more. You know, and I did what they said, bro. I got a sponsor. I worked the steps, right? And God did for me what I could not do for myself.
Yeah.
In that moment, when I turned to Him, when I worked those steps, bro, that was it. I was made new in that moment.
Yeah. I was the same way. No, mine wasn't really the fact that I did AA or celebrate recovery or anything like that. You know, I took those classes. I know the steps. But I had noticed that those steps that they had in that was the same thing that was teaching off of scripture. And so I said, you know, I can either do this or I can go straight to the source. And so that's what I did. And, you know, not to knock AA or anything like that, sort of recovery. It's great. I think, it helps so many people. It just wasn't something that worked for me. Mine was just steadily seeking God. Matthew 6:33. And just it's just like you said, you see God, and everything else just falls into place. And that's what worked for me, because I was still getting high in prison, bro. You know, I didn't stop because I got locked up. You know, I was still full blown addict. You know,
Yeah.
and it really was it really was just digging into the scripture, man, that helped me. And by doing that, I worked my steps. So I guess in a sense, you can say I did work my steps. You know, I just did it differently than what they do it like, you know. So since, man, you know what? Let me just say it like this. So I've been home now for 3.5 years. 3.5 years, yeah. Almost 4. Wow, almost 4 years I've been home. This is crazy. So I didn't know that you were already on a different path when I came home, right? I thought you were still the Justin who drank all day, worked at Bush's. You know what I mean? Because I love you. You know what I mean? Wrong.
Yeah.
But you know,
That was it. That sums it up.
you know what I mean? And I didn't really know that you had changed up all that, right? And I had heard news from my sisters that she was doing well. I mean, and so then I forget how we even made contact again, bro, or how I reached out. I know it was through Facebook, but I forgot what the initial conversation was or whatnot. You know, because, you know, to be honest, bro, last time we talked, bro, I had did some stupid stuff. You know what I mean? And so it wasn't really, you know, as like on talking terms like that. And I'm so thankful that, you know, that's behind us. You know, I was a horrible person, different person, bro, when I'm on those things, when I'm on drugs. But, you know, regardless, that was we had moved forward past that. And then I just started noticing like a change in you, bro. It was the way you talked, bro. It was the way you was walking. And since we had connected again, I've seen so much growth in you, bro. And I'm saying it like this, not like you didn't have growth already, but I think people sometimes we think like the goal is to get to the top of the mountain, right? Oh, thank you. Oswald Chambers said it like this. He said sometimes people think that they get to the top of the to the mountaintop and it's a peak, but really when you get up there, you find out that it's not just a peak; it's like a plateau, and it's just so much more room to run around, and so much more room to live, so much more room to grow, right? And so that's how I've seen it. That's what I see in your life is the fact that you just escalate. And so, but, and I'm just going to say it. I'm going to bring it up. Is whenever we first started talking, I was inviting you to church, and you had already met Jennifer at this time, your wife, and you were like, "Look, bro, I believe in God. I just don't know if I buy the whole Jesus thing." And I was like, "Man, I feel. Have you ever read your Bible, bro?" That's what I asked you, and you're like, "No, I mean I've skimmed through it or whatnot or whatever you said, but you have never read it." And I was like, "Well, why don't you read the Gospels? The reason why you don't buy the whole Jesus thing is because you don't know him." You remember that?
Yeah, and all that was confusing, and then there's a lot of hard emotions that come from that because there was certain people in my life that I know that I had a connection with God. I know that God was working in my life, and that and there was people in my life that was concerned about the fact that I didn't know if I believed in Jesus or not, and there would even be things said like, if you don't believe in Jesus, you don't even know God, and like that it hurt. It hurt. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I know God. By that point I had been sober, right? I had been, more importantly, by that turned to God. By that point I had turned to God and been made new for like 5 years, right? And I
Right.
had already seen him doing things in my life. I already, bro, if you knew me before and then you knew me at that point, it would be hard for you to deny that God was working in my life, right? But I think it's a lot of things that we don't really understand. But I think God has offered me some more clarity on those things. And recently, because like bro, just very recently, and it's a whole nother story, but I got lined up with a guy who's really knowledgeable in the Bible. He's willing to freely offer his time on a regular basis to train me, to lead me in biblical ways, and one of the things that I was appalled when people would say stuff like that, bro, like you don't really know God. Like I almost want to fight, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to show you I don't know God real quick, and it hurt because that's core to me, you know what I'm saying? That's like really important to me, bro, and
Right.
and it hurt, but the thing is, and I explained that to my friend, and he said, well, flip to such and such, such and such, and he said, what did Jesus say to Peter? Right? Drop your nets, follow me. Right? What Peter do? He dropped his nets. He followed him. Okay?
Right.
He followed him for, I don't know the time frame, but he was following him for a while.
Yeah.
Here and there and everywhere. Right? And then they're on Mount whatever. Right? Like I said, I'm training in this.
No, yeah.
I don't know all the
You're on the right track.
legitimates of the story, right? and off the top of my head like that. But he asked Peter some great time later, after following him here, there, and everywhere, who am I? Peter was the first one of all the disciples to say, you are the Son of God.
Yeah.
Right? So Peter had been following him all that time. He didn't know that was the Son of God. You see what I'm saying? He was just following him, right? But that doesn't mean that the Son of God was not working in Peter's life. You see what I'm saying? And so God has been working on me for some time, right? But I'm sure that at the point that Peter said, "You're the Son of God," that the intimacy between Peter and Jesus became deeper. I'm sure there was another level at that point. Okay, because in reality, essentially anybody in this world that is doing anything good in this world is following Jesus, right? Now, Jesus does want the credit for those things, right? So there is
Yes.
another level when you come to say, so when I came to say, God, I need you. I can't do this on my own. And really, I did it even reluctantly, right? I didn't know if it was going to make sense. I just know I didn't want to feel like I felt anymore. Some dude was telling me, hey, you got to do this. You got to believe in God. You got to go talk to people that you're mad at. You got to do all that. I'm like, bro, are you for real, bro? I got to walk into the pawn shop that I burglarized and take them some money? Are you serious right now, bro? I am not doing that. I'm not going to do that. You know, this is what you need to do to save your life. You did everything and anything to get high. Okay. Are you going to do everything and anything to get past it?
Oh,
Right. So that was how that was
oh,
me turning to God. Right. And so essentially in those moments, like I said, I was doing good stuff. I was following Jesus, but I didn't know the level of the following Jesus, but I was crying out to God. I mean, there's evil people out here essentially following Jesus in a sense. Okay. Maybe they're good stewards of their money. Okay. Maybe they're loyal to their people. Okay. These are all Christ-like things. Okay. But they're doing it for the wrong team, right? They're still getting rewards even for those things. They're not going to get rewards in heaven, but they're getting rewards on earth, right? But they're, God is not working in their life the same way if they did it for his team, you know? Okay, so essentially I switched to Team God. I gave him the credit, but at that point, I still didn't know if I believed in Jesus or not. That's where I was at, right?
right.
And then you pointed out, read the Bible. I didn't at first, and then um, I came to a point where I started reading it, and there's actually a really good story if we want to go into that one about when I started reading it and stuff. But yeah, I started reading it, and I came to know Jesus, and since then I've felt the intimacy grow. There's more things that's been falling into place, bro, in my life. For the first time in my life, I feel like I see God's plan. I don't see the plan, but I see that God has a plan for me. Before I saw him doing great things like, sobriety and things with my kids and, uh, certain things in my life. But
So if you don't mind me asking, so what if you say now you see a plan,
yeah,
right? And maybe you understand it, and maybe you think you understand it, but here's the thing. But here's what I want. What do you think? Okay, so okay. Without vision, we have no purpose, right? Um. So without purpose, what are we doing? So that brings me to ask you this: what do you think your purpose is?
so I mean, I don't have uh, I mean, I don't know, I don't really know exactly where you're going at with that. For my purpose in this life is to serve people and give God the credit. You know, pretty much that. To be the best that I can be, to do the best that I can do for those around me. You know, but that's a general purpose. And then as
Right.
far as a specific purpose,
Like you're like, what's your calling?
but I don't really think that's up for me to even say, bro. That's for me. I don't think that's really up for me to say because who am I to say that? I believe what I'm supposed to be doing, God is putting in front of me, and so all I need to worry about is what is in front of me, and I need to let Him worry about tomorrow. I need to let Him worry about next year. I need to
That's
let Him worry about 5 years from now. So where am I going to be 5 years from now? What is my specific purpose in that, Matt? What is my calling? I don't know. I don't want to know. It's kind of a surprise. But I've had
that's
an
good.
idea. Check it out. Let me share this. I've had an idea that maybe I'm being led to be a pastor, right?
Okay.
Because and I was like, bro, they say do what you're good at, right? I'm sure there's a lot of negative things that come with being a pastor that I'm not really seeing. But as far as the raw talents, like I love to write, I love to study, I love to read, I love to speak, I love to teach, I love to help, I love to listen, right? Naturally, it's in me, you know.
Right.
And so I'm like, bro, and I love to be about God, right? So like maybe I'm being led to be a pastor, and so That's and so maybe that's it. And that's what I was saying. For the first time in my life, I feel that God has a plan for me. And and okay, check this out, right? Because some years ago, about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, let's start 7 years ago. 7 years ago, I went to put my son in football, right? We put him in football. He wanted to play football. He didn't like it.
Okay.
I was heartbroken. I'm a football player. That's what we
Yeah.
do. We play football, you know? And so he didn't want to play. I'm like, nah, bro, you got to play football, bro. He's just like, nah, I want to play soccer. I'm like, soccer? What are you talking about? No, you're playing football. You know? And so, anyways, he played soccer, right? He played for another team, and the coach moved on to doing bigger and better things after 1 or 2 seasons. And they're like, it's like everywhere in the world, bro, that we need people to put their hearts into some things, man. Stop being so caught up in yourself. Help the people around you. Be a servant. Volunteer somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. So they don't have enough coaches, so they're gonna turn kids away. So that I'm like, my kid's not gonna be able to play. I don't want to coach. The only thing I know about soccer is I don't like it. Okay. Why would anybody want to play a sport and not use their hands? That's dumb, And that's what I thought. But I'm like, and then I had the fear set in. I don't have the time. I don't have the knowledge, right? And that's what people do. They let what they won't do keep you from what you want to do. But I didn't know that this was really going to lead me somewhere else in that moment, right?
Right.
I just thought it was about soccer, right? So I start coaching him, and bro, it went terrible. Right? I mean, it was. I mean, it was good, right? I'm spending time. I noticed in those moments that I loved helping kids. I love being around kids. So I learned that. I got to coach my son, right? But we lost every game. Okay, it's not all about winning,
It's not
right?
all about
okay,
winning.
but
I was gonna say
but
that.
we lost every single game. That was hard, right? So about 2 seasons in of that, right? So that's a lot of losses. And, I'm like, bro, I'm starting to get tired of this, And I'm like, son, do you want to be on another soccer team? Maybe you can win some games, or do you want to be on our soccer team? I'm hoping he's gonna say, Dad, I'll be on another team, because I'm like, beat. He's like, Dad, I want to be on your team. I'm like, dang. All right, hey, we're all in. Okay, we're gonna train. We're gonna do. So I started throwing myself all into soccer. Like, I would watch 3 soccer games a night. These games are like 90 minutes long. I would fall asleep watching games. Anyways, I started like, everything was soccer this, soccer that. And one of the coaches that kicked our butts one day, I had noticed. I said something about it, and the ref was like, "Well, you know who that is, don't you? It's Marcy Jobson." And I was like, "No, I don't know who Marcy Jobson is." And he goes, "She's the Baylor soccer coach." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And so that was one time she beat us. Like, the next time I was like, "Hey, Marcy, I'm Justin." After the game, we're shaking hands. They just kicked our butts, right? And I'm like, "Hey, I'm trying to teach these kids. I'm tired of losing all the time. Do you have any advice for coaching?" She basically gave me comforting words, as if y'all are only practicing 2 days a week. If these kids really want to be good, if they're going to win games, they need more than that. They need to practice more. She's like, just do the best you can and kind of enjoy the ride. So there was no spectacular advice. It was comforting. I knew that, just keep doing what I was doing. So look, then, bro, I end up putting my son, I like her, so I end up put her in the Warrior Way soccer camp, right? Come to find out, I put him in for soccer, right? And then I come to find out they teach Jesus. Every week they got the devotional, right? They're out there implementing scripture and Jesus Christ into the soccer, building them up as young boys and girls, young men and women, into the foundation of having God and Christ as their foundation on the soccer field and off the soccer field. And I loved it, because I know what lack of God did in my life.
Right.
And I don't want that for my kids. Right. So I'm like, he's
I love
staying in
that.
this. So I put him in it again. Right. And I guess, I like to write stuff, put it on Facebook. I don't really know. I think Marcy saw something I wrote one day. She saw something she liked in me. She asked me to start helping coach. Right. And then around that time, that's when I met Jennifer. Fell in love, got married, all that. One of the first things that Jennifer said, early in our relationship, was she would like to be a missionary and travel and spread the word of God in that manner.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's cool. I'm digging that. I don't like planes, bro. I'm scared of heights. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
I've
So I
never
was
been on a plane.
so I was
Yeah.
kind of like, yeah, I'm down with that. So but so then I still keep building this relationship with Marcy and them, right? And like getting closer, helping them coach more. Marcy says, "Hey, out of nowhere, well, I go to University High School to help her coach a little thing over there one day. After that, uh, she said, "Hey, do you want to go on a missionary trip to Guatemala?" I was like, "Oh no, let me ask the wife." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I asked, and bro, now we're about to go in July. God willing, right, on a missionary trip. Because when we had that conversation at the house, Jennifer and I, about doing that, traveling, and it was like, oh, okay, that's something we can do when the kids, graduate. We got a
Right.
little more time, a little more money, cash flow, things
Yeah.
like that. Kids are expensive, right?
Yeah.
So, later in life, and then bam, here it is, right? So a little bit before that, I started thinking maybe I'm being led to be a pastor, right? Like 6 months ago, 9 months ago, right? I said maybe we should go to Baylor Seminary together, Jennifer and I, right? And another thing, okay, we'll do that maybe in the next chapter of life, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, I don't need to go to a seminary to learn the Bible and all that. I don't need that. That's $60,000, $100,000, whatever it is, right? Do I really need that? The biggest thing that I saw was the resources of the people that you would meet there,
That's
right?
good.
God works through people, and so, and then I was like, okay, was that worth it, right? And then, okay, next thing I know, bro, all these people that are in this program, not all of them, but one of them in particular is the guy who I said that I've began meeting, regularly, and he just graduated from Baylor Seminary, you know, and it's like God is showing me, and it's, bro, I forgot the part about I almost quit Warrior Way one time because I was coaching the HOT team still, and it was a schedule conflict, and I was like, God, show me a plan. Show me a sign. I don't know what to do. I want to put the boys in both, but the last time I put them in both, I felt like I wasn't doing good enough for the HOT boys, right? I need to be a little more structured for them. That was a hard because I couldn't be there enough with my work schedule and everything. God, show me a sign. I'm in the
Yeah.
mall taking my daughter school shopping, okay, last August, and I got that on my brain. Who do I see in the mall? Marcy Jobson. I'm like, hey, Marcy, what's up? Hey, I'm thinking about, I don't know if I'm going to do Warrior Way again. I got all this stuff going on. She just offers some comforting words, and some support. And, excuse me. And, okay. And I walk off and I'm like, God, I just saw Marcy Jobson. God, show me a sign. God, what am I supposed to do? And I'm like, and it took me a few hours. I'm like, you idiot. That was your sign. You just
Yeah.
saw her. You never see her anywhere. Dude, just put them in. And so I almost quit, and that was God's way of showing me,
That's
to
good.
stay on that path. And
Oh,
so
that's
now
good.
I'm starting to see, bro, like, I don't know where he's leading me. I'm thinking that maybe it's to become a pastor. I don't really know. All I know is I know what he's put in front of me, right? And like I said, and like I thought Baylor would be a big resource for people, but maybe that's what God's showing me. You don't need to go anywhere. I can give you all the resources you need right where you're at, providing that I'm in the place where He wants me to be, right?
Right.
And so, once I saw all those things lining up, that the missionary trip, the being surrounded with people in seminary school, very Bible orientated, which all these are things I think are things of my future, began with me putting my son in soccer and agreeing to coach him, even though I didn't want to, even though I didn't know anything about soccer, right? 5 years ago that moment 5 years ago led me exactly to these people, to this group, to this moment right now, and it's like, and then I started to see God has been weaving all these things for all this time, and I've just been kind of unknowingly, you know, following the steps.
That's all I can do. That's all I can do. I just breathe on that
It's
one.
crazy, bro.
That's so good. What do you think your definition of inspiration is?
Man, inspiration. So, to be honest, the first thing that excuse me, First thing when somebody says, "What is inspiration?" I go to Beyonce. These lights will inspire you. So
Not
New
the
York,
Beyonce.
New York City lights, maybe. I don't know. No, nothing against Beyonce. I mean, it's probably a little worldly for me. Um, I guess probably godly people, bro, is inspiring to me. Like uh, bro, my wife is is probably my biggest
I
inspiration.
love your wife,
I
man.
think any to any man, probably his woman is probably his biggest motivator. But my wife is so amazing in so many ways that she's probably my biggest inspiration, bro. And then there's people like you, that like I see you up here preaching and stuff. A lot of these people that preach, they've been either grew up in a church or they went to seminary school or something along those lines. And I know God has worked His knowledge and wisdom and those things into you in His own ways. But you're not one of those typical people, man. And you you do your own things in your own mission, type of ways. But also at the church, you get up there and preach. And bro, you're a leader, bro. And I know that as a leader, we become a target too. Everybody's pointing the finger. Look at what
Yeah,
he's doing now. Why
right.
is he doing this? Why is he doing that? And that's hard, man. We got Christ as our foundation, but we're still human at the same time, and those things hurt. And you don't let that stuff get you down. You keep going. You keep putting your best effort and doing good things and giving God the credit. Regardless of the weather, the circumstances, the day, the time, any of that, and that's inspiring.
I so when I think about inspiration, I think about something that has motivated change, something that has sparked that interest in it, right? Um, I mean, let's look. So I believe that I think it's inspire. I think the Greek word or something like that, or Hebrew word inspire means to breathe, right? And so whenever God created, creation, it says that He spoke it, so He breathed it, right? Um, and it creation is what inspires a lot of people too, right? Oh, the sunset will inspire. Oh, it inspires me to paint this canvas or whatnot, right? Oh, the weather is beautiful. Oh, hey, I'm that. There is like human inspiration and then there's divine inspiration, right? And so I think of when I think of inspiration, I think of like divine inspiration, right? Like, okay, so there was some people that were just like me before I was, a new creation that changed, and they were pouring into people and they were mentoring and they were doing that. I was like, I want that. There was something about their vibe, bro, that just made me want that. It inspired something inside of me to become that, right? And so, I reached out. I was motivated. I was all in, you know. And even still, when I come up here and preach, or I go anywhere and preach, or if I'm at the river, or if I'm just on Facebook or whatnot, you're right about a target, right? People will look at you and you're kind of like in the spotlight, right? But it's been that way even before. I don't need a platform to preach. Bro, I'll preach to you in McDonald's parking lot. I don't need to be in front of the church to do that. So, I, how am I trying to say this? I read this book called Searching for Your Significance. And it speaks about that, right? About, oh, I'm worried about what other people think about me. Oh, I wonder, oh, this person doesn't like me. Oh, no, what am I going to do? Oh, I feel like I upset this person. Bro, the truth is supposed to upset somebody. It's supposed to bring conviction or upset you. It's supposed to, bro. If someone is preaching, if you are preaching, bro, constantly for years and years and years, and you have not upset your church at one time, bro, something's wrong with what you're preaching.
Jesus said he came not to bring peace but a sword. Okay, and that's it. And then something along that thread that sticks out to me is, say people in trying to change their life, right? Whether if it's through sobriety or whatever, right? What's the world tell you need to do? You need to change your people, places, and things. More deception, bro. That's evil. Okay. What do you got your eyes on? You got your eyes on people, places, and things.
That's good.
That is not divine, bro. That is not God. What? So, and then they're saying you need to change your people. So you need to make the decision of who you need to surround yourself or who you don't. Right. First of all, you're the one who got you into this problem in the first place. You need to forget everything that you think you know and put your eyes on God. So look, once you put your eyes on God, right, and you begin to really let Him flow through you, right, you begin to offend some people. You begin to not become as attractive to people. People don't want to be around you. You vibe a certain way, so you don't really vibe with that person anymore, right? It creates that it creates the separation for you. You don't have to worry about who to separate.
Yes.
Only thing you need to worry about is God, and He will do the separating. You see what I'm saying? And He came not to bring peace, but a sword. That's what it's talking about. He'll do all the separating. All you got to do is keep your eyes on Him, right? And that's what I'm saying. But there's so many ways that the world, it's. Why do you think these people out here failing? They're worried about who they need to hang out with and who they don't. No, you need to worry about learning about God. You need to worry about implementing God into your life. That's what you need to worry about.
I love that because so whenever I'm mentoring somebody, right, first thing that I say is you need to forget everything you think you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. That's the first step I had to take.
Yeah.
I'm never going to tell you what to do, but I'm going to give you some advice right quick. I'm going to tell you how I did it. And you need to forget what you think you know. And when I was getting on that with that searching for the significance thing is that I don't care what anybody thinks about me. I know my significance in Him. I know how valuable I am. I know it's like you said, you feel like He's calling you to preach, to be a pastor, right? I had the same feeling. And it was something that was constantly going. I constantly felt it. And I wasn't setting to be a pastor. I wasn't setting to do that. That wasn't my goal. It's like it just kind of fell into that. Doors just kind of opened. All I did was walk one step in front of the other. And then doors were being opened. Some doors closed. I still have doors that are being closed right now in my life. But, I'm going to keep on knocking. I'm going to keep on walking. And, I feel like there are a lot of things in my life that I desire to do. But there are also a lot of things in my life that I don't have in line yet. And I feel like I remember Pastor Charles was talking about this. He was like, there was certain things in his life that he had to let go of before, God allowed him to be in ministry. But he had to let go of a few more things if he wanted to go deeper in the ministry. If there was other things that, I say advance, but that's not what I mean. I mean, like to keep on walking further into what he was doing, his calling. God will withhold a few things. And I feel like, these doors that I'm trying to go into, they're not being opened up is because I feel like maybe I think I'm ready, but I'm not ready. There's some things in my life that God's like, not yet. Not yet. You need to get some things in order first. And that takes discipline. You know what I mean? To accept that. Now, am I saying that I accept that right away? No. You know what I mean? If I want something, I want it now, bro. I don't know what it is in me. I just want it now. And man, He has to slow me down. It's like when I was doing this podcast. I wanted to go fast, bro. You know that. I thought I knew everything, and it did not work out that way, bro.
You want to get it out there real quick.
Yeah, but I needed to learn things first. I needed to grasp some things, and God's like, "Oh, slow down, Jeff."
Yeah, you got to poise. Like, you ever seen that movie Life?
Yeah.
With Martin Lawrence and them, and they're standing on them bottles. Talking about you got to poise yourself, or you got to poise yourself. So in the midst of trying circumstances, you got to stay poised.
Yeah, and we don't understand it right away, but when we look back, that's the understanding. That's where the understanding comes from, and that's how it's been in my life. Um, and speaking about your wife, man, oh, I love her, bro. Um, y'all's unity is special to me because I got to unite you guys, which was a blessing. I that was beautiful.
Yeah, that was another God thing for sure, bro.
For sure. You know what I mean? Um, and and man,
Yeah,
her,
through your ministry, through your ministry,
through the
I was like her and I both believed that, um, he united us together as sort of a reward to one another. I had really set my eyes on God and really tried to really implement that in a new ways, and she had began doing the same, and she started helping you, serve the less fortunate and things like that, and y'all posted a little picture on Facebook one day, and I said I saw her and instantly caught my attention. Like, I did the math. There was like guy and a girl, like couple. I was like, bro, she is by herself. Who is that girl?
yeah.
And I asked you, and you said that's such and such, and she's not interested in dudes right now. And I was like, it's because she ain't seen me yet, huh?
Yeah. Well,
And
what and we had already been talking. Me and your wife Jennifer, and she was going through a lot of stuff and a lot of guy issues. You know what I mean? I'm sure she wouldn't mind me saying that. So that was my first reaction anyway, bro. She's just not interested right now. She's at this point in her life, But you know, you say that you focused on God and she was focusing on God, and that brought y'all together, And it reminds me of whenever God created Adam, right? It was just Adam, all by himself. Adam was so consumed in God's presence, walking hand in hand with him, bro. Adam didn't even realize he was by himself. It wasn't even an idea, a thought. And because of that intimacy with him, because of his relationship with God, bro, God blessed him with a woman that was fit perfectly for him.
wow,
You know what I mean?
yeah, she is.
You know, and that was I feel the same way about my wife, bro. We are perfect for
Yeah,
each other.
I had to learn that because I got out of a 12-year relationship, and man, that was hard.
Yeah,
And when I got out of that, you know, um, and I went a little crazy. You know what I mean? And I got to a point where I realized that something happened, and when it happened, I realized that I needed somebody. I didn't know that I was doing it. I thought I was just hanging out with. I was either working, or I was with my kids, or I was hanging out with some girl, and I thought that I was doing that because that's what I wanted to do. And then all of a sudden, I didn't have that for some reason, and I realized I needed it. Where I need somebody to be with, and that's when I realized something's wrong with me. I started tripping. I went on like a anxiety thing, you know.
yeah,
On this side of God, we go through things,
of
and
course.
and I
Yeah,
think that's He puts dispositions in us when we're off the mark. He makes us feel certain ways. So when we feel certain ways, we need to think: Are we doing godly things? And I wasn't. And so what I learned was, bro, I gotta, and I read Mike Todd, a little shout out for you, bro.
there you
Mike
go.
Todd, relationship goals. I read his book, right? And and I started learning some different things. And I reread Stephen Covey's 7 Habits, and I just kind of got deep back into the core of me. And I started thinking about before I would be like, man, I have to be alone. Oh my God, I don't like this. And then I started, I like the main thing that helped me the most was just changing the words in my head. I get to be alone. So then I would go home, clean my little 1-bedroom house I had, or I would go get a good book. And so before I was reading the Bible, go get a good book, and I go perch up on a cliff somewhere by myself, just read for an hour. I just started doing more things like that, just becoming more comfortable with, I guess, it just walking hand in hand with God
Yeah,
so much that I didn't realize I was alone.
yeah,
Right.
that's
And then
good,
He
man.
gave me a woman that was perfectly fit for me, handcrafted for me. I never really heard that analogy, but I love that one. And the fact that, y'all was out there doing God's work, and bro, it's just, it's too surreal. It's that's his plan.
Yeah.
And then you marrying us, bro. I remember I think we were at July 4th at the river, and I told you, I
Yeah.
said, bro, you're gonna marry
You
us.
did. You
You
said
didn't even
that.
have you're like, yeah, I'm working on getting my little license right now, or something, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I'm like, bro, I don't care nothing about what you talking about right now. You gonna marry us,
Yep.
And then sure enough,
A year later.
yeah, that next May,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, but it's wild. But that's the thing for people that if they don't know, if you don't know that it's right, or if this is your person or that's your person, or when you find your person, just put your eyes on God. He'll take care of the rest, And then once that's what I did, that's what she did. And then once he brought us together, bro, it was game over. We
Yeah.
both knew from day one. We make jokes all the time now that we should have just asked each other the first time we met on the side of bushes that night. Just, hey, so we getting married tomorrow? Or when am I supposed to move in?
Right. Um. Man, yeah, that's so beautiful, bro. Oh man. Um. So you've been doing a lot lately, bro. Uh, as far as like you're getting mentored, right?
Yeah.
You're a certain type of mentorship.
Yeah, I mean, we've never put labels on it or nothing. We
Right.
just, I
But I
asked him a
mean,
question about a topic came up one day, and I was like, what is it? Is it God chose all of us, or is it, we chose to invite God into our life? Not that we have this great power, but I believe more that God wants the people that wants to be on His team. And there's a whole other, we could talk about that for
yeah,
hours, and
a whole other topic for a whole
yeah,
other
you know what
day.
I
You know
mean?
what I'm saying?
Nobody really knows. You
Right.
know what you know and you believe it because that's what you believe, but there's somebody just as smart as you believes something completely different.
Yeah.
But I asked him a conversation. He's like, "Hey, I like to talk about that. Let's sit down." And we sat down and talked about it one day. And we just had a little godly conversation. And he said, "Hey, you know," he said that God worked in this dude grew up in church. This dude just graduated from Baylor Seminary. But he said out of all the things in his life that he felt has grown his uh, walk with God, or whatever, however you want to put words on it, out of all those things out of everything he's done in his life, the thing that's helped him grow the most is a sit down one on one with another man, say weekly, bi-weekly, whatever.
Yeah.
And he said he had two men that did it with him, in his past. And he said, "Hey, would you like to do that?" And bro, I'm sure he probably thought something was wrong with me the way I started smiling ear to ear. I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'd like to do that." You know what I mean? And then that's what I'm saying. That's when I started to realize, bro, God is it's wild, bro. Just drop these things in front of me, and some people might not think that's something. That's
What,
it.
a
That's
conversation?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's ordinary, or that's basic, bro. To me, that's not basic. I see God working, and it tickles me to death. You know what I'm saying? And if you knew me 10 years ago,
Yeah.
then you
Yeah.
know it's something. Then you know why it's something. You know?
Iron sharpens iron, bro. And I, I, I loved the fact that I was in men's grow groups. I still am. I mean, right now, we disciple, about four to five guys. I mentor another guy on the side, which, by the way, he's done amazing, bro. I love Justin, bro. He's not this Justin, another Justin. But you know, I don't know where I would be if I didn't have men pouring into me, or men that I can vent to. You know, uh, because sometimes we just can't go to our wives and just vent. Sometimes we just can't go to certain women and just vent, or our parents. You know what I mean? Well, we need men. You know, and so I don't think people really understand the value in that. There is a lot. That's a gem. That you can't really put a price on that. It's changed my life. But anyway, um, do the time, bro. We're gonna close off. But what I want to do? I want to pick back up. I want to. Uh, we're gonna jump into a few more other things on our next meeting, bro. Because I'm learning from you. it's not about really, bro, whether or not, this and that. Bro, I learn from you. Every time I talk to you, bro, you're teaching me something too.
Did we just enter a mutual mentorship?
I think we did, yeah. I think we did, yeah. And so we're gonna jump back into this, man, another time, man. I want you guys to tune in. Uh, I'm thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for you, Justin. I love you, bro. I really do, man. And
That's been fun. Appreciate you too.
And it's not because I love you because you're my cousin, bro. Of course I love you because you're my cousin, bro. But I love your spirit, bro. I love your willingness to commit to things, man. To serve God. I see it, bro. I mean, it's evident, and I'm just thankful for you. In all the letters, if you notice, if you read the New Testament some more, start reading some of these letters from Paul, you'll notice that first thing that Paul says in all of his letters when he's greeting somebody is, "I thank God for you." I thank God for you, bro.
Appreciate that, bro. Thank God for you too.
And as far as the inspiration, bro, you inspire me. And that's why I really wanted to bring it up, because you inspired me to not really change, because I'm already inspired to change, but you inspire me to help others change, because I can see that there's growth. I see what happens, so it just kind of sparks more motivation in me. One thing about Christianity, bro, is that, before we were Christians, everything that we do is about us. Oh man, I want to change for me. How can I make my life better for me? What can I do? But whenever we become Christians and we fall deeper in love with Him, it's no longer about us. Our focus starts falling on us. How can I impact that person's life? How can I help him change?
Yes, like I said earlier, my goal became, before I even became a Christian per se, when I gave my life to God, is I understood a deep feeling, a desire to be the best that I can be, to do the best that I can do for the people around me.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. All right, guys. Well, thank y'all for tuning in, man. Subscribe. All right, you can go to catch us on Spotify, YouTube, all the other platforms, man. So I encourage you guys to do that, man. And I love you guys, man, and I will see you guys later.
Peace out, 12-2.
Got 12-2. Later.